Hi everyone, delonewolf here and welcome back for another EVE Online video. In today's video I want to talk a little bit about my blueprint copy business because it is basically upgrading to a new level thanks to a very generous donation of a massive blueprint original library. And so I thought I'd cover the topic of the blueprint copy business a little bit in this video. It could be helpful, and so we're going to start off with I think where most players would actually start off a blueprint copy business. That's actually in an NPC station. You can see that we are in a camel tech station in Lower Debil. Yeah, this is Lower Debil. For those that don't speak Triglavian. Yeah, there's actually an evasion going on, but yeah, this is actually the Lower Debil system. One thing to note is that not every NPC station can create blueprint copies or do research in general, so there's only actually a pretty limited amount of them, but they're decently well spread out and available. You never have to travel that far. The big advantage of an NPC station, and I can show you guys some of the blueprints that we have here, is that it's of course safe. There's no risk of this stuff dropping into asset safety, which would become quite expensive to get it back out. If, for instance, it's something like a Tatara blueprint, which I have here, look at that, costs 40 billion ISK. Even a couple percentages would become pretty expensive very quickly. And so my structural blueprints, which I have bought actually always on the time of the deployment of these new blueprints. I keep them in an NPC station. Just they're that expensive that I want to make sure that they are safe. Then when it comes to the blueprints, of course, unfortunately, my jobs are still running. But since I actually haven't done a trip to Jita last week, I think it's actually an okay time to try and show this. And so you can see here in my personal jobs, we have a Raitaru blueprint that is creating 3 copies, Astrahus and Athenor that are creating 2 copies. This takes a little bit over 7 days to create this, and I would say that most of these sell for just under 10 million ISK. So yeah, that's about 70 million ISK that is being created here every single week. And the advantage, as I've said, is Lower Debil Camel Tech Factory NPC station. So it's actually 100% safe in here. The disadvantage, if I would, for instance, put this in here, I could do a 1-run copy of the Tatara as well, 7 days and 9 hours, but 4.8 million ISK in order to create the copy. It's just a lot more expensive. The system cost index is also usually a little bit more expensive because, well, lots of players that don't have a structure to do research in will of course gravitate towards those stations that actually do have research facilities. So I think early on, if you don't yet have the means to go for your own structures, or you don't trust a public structure that provides research facilities, then of course an NPC station is the answer, and then it will look like something like this. But yeah, the reason I'm not actually doing Tatara blueprints is because that one is so low in value that the 4.8 million cost card actually really cuts down on the margins. It's not even worth it to run that blueprint copy at the moment, at least. So the other option, of course, is to go into one of your own structures. That cuts down on the cost by quite a little bit. And so we're going to head towards my research station as well, or research structure, I should call it. So that's going to be over here. But the disadvantage, of course, is that you can get warded and then your structure can be destroyed, which means that if you haven't gotten rid of everything in there as the war starts, it'll go into asset safety. It's going to be a bit of a pain in the butt to get back out of it. There's just more risk, more hassle potentially involved in making blueprint copies in one of your own structures. At this point though, well, we're decently established, and I do enjoy running that. So let's get over there and let's show that to you guys. I'm actually not going to show you guys the whole library that I received from the donation. I think then some of you guys will try to find me and strangle me because I'm underusing all of that so much. But there's also something else to keep in mind. Number one, I am kind of lazy, and so it is true that I want to stick to one account, mainly one character. I might like upgrade some of the characters on this account to maybe make BPCs, also make PI and things like that, but I never really felt the need to do that. And another thing, let's say that you would create 2-3 extra accounts so that you could create blueprint copies of everything that you've got and all the time as efficiently as possible. There is, in my opinion, a very real risk that you'll oversupply markets and that you'll start to crash down the prices, getting rid of all of your margins. And well, this is basically playing it safe on my end. I know that everything that I do on this character when it comes to creating copies has a very steady and very decent return on investment and return on the effort that I put in, which is really not that much. So in the meantime, we are approaching the co-incorporated research write-through. So let's get in here and let's show you guys the library in here. Maybe I'll show you guys the jobs first, or I should probably start with this. If you start a job from your own item hanger, it is going to show up in your personal owned by me jobs, just like the ones from an NPC station. We, however, have put the blueprints in a division corporation hanger, and what that changes is that the blueprint copy jobs are owned by the corporation, which means that I can deliver them and my brother or anyone else in the corporation could do so as well. So you can see what I've mostly been doing, that is create blueprint copies of the orcas. That's been going on for months, maybe even a couple of years at this point. Takes about 7 days as well to create a blueprint copy for an orca, and these tend to be valued around 15 million. On some weeks it's a bit above that, on some weeks it's a bit below that, and to my surprise, even 4 of them once a week is not too much for the market. So I don't tend to build up a stock. They tend to sell pretty quickly, which is actually the reason why I need to make my next trip, because if we go into the contracts and go on the start page, you can see that I can still make my 20 contracts, so I need to sell my next BPCs as quickly as possible. And what has basically changed, well, there's more blueprints that I could test out, but first of all, we are trying, as you can see down here, with the freighters. So if we go for the Fenrir here, for instance, you can see it takes 7 days and 12 hours, very much in line with the Orca and with the runs that I make for the structures. And the difference, this only costs 850,000 disk. On top of that, there's like 851 disk that goes to my corp wallet. So this is a lot cheaper than in an NPC station, but yeah, you know, the drawback is there's a bit more risk involved here as well. So we're trying to see what kind of return on investment we get for these blueprints for the freighters, and then we're doing the same with carriers and then the revelation at this point. These are a bit different though. Look at that, 10 days and 50 minutes to create them, a little bit less in cost, 673,000 disk only, but basically that's big part of the bottleneck, is how much time it takes to create blueprint copies for these ships. So carriers, you can see here 10 days on all of them. And yeah, look at that research. This is of course an amazing gift, getting a carrier blueprint that has 10% time efficiency and 9% material efficiency. That is just crazy good. Thank you so much for that. Really an amazing gift. And here is then the revelation, also still taking 10 days. I could rig the Raitaru to make it a little bit faster, I think, but the once a week schedule just works for me, so I personally don't feel too much pressure. And then I'll show you guys what we'll be taking to Jita in a moment, because I have delivered everything. And it's not only me, my brother is gonna try to help me out as well when it comes to creating these blueprint copies. At least I asked him to do so, which means that this resulted in, if we can dock in the wolves den, let's go. And then here is the loot that I need to bring back. And yeah, so we've got all of this at the ready. This one I actually want to make it at some point, so I'll put that in the item hanger. But you see, this is the general library, which most of these on 7 days, which is all of these, actually all of these can be done on 7-day cycles, and then these will be on 10-day cycles. And yeah, we'll have to try and sell those in Jita to see what they will be worth. And I think we'll do that. I'll do the trip off screen, and then I will be back as we are in Jita. I'm not gonna take any more of the loot. Normally I would take some more of this loot to bring back to Jita as well, but since it's Halloween, spooky time, we might just get targeted, so I want to avoid that at all costs. We've got the blueprint copies here. Yep, we have a destination. It's gonna be Jita. And then let's get out of here, and I'll see you guys when I get there. And here we go, in warp towards Jita after dodging all of those gankers that are out there. Well, actually no. Honestly, the Dramiel never really at risk, or I never really feel at risk. I did see Concord on one of the gates, so some ganking is definitely happening. But yeah, if you have like a good transport ship for the right volumes and the right values, then you should be absolutely fine. It's been a very long time, and god damn it, that's not what I wanted to do. This is what I want to do. It's been a very long time since I've actually been ganked, and I think the last time was like in an Iteron Mark V that I had put full of PI. So that was basically a big mistake, and I don't make that mistake anymore. So there's definitely ways to travel pretty safely in EVE Online. Here's the Jita station, by the way, that is being remodeled. Looks pretty cool. It's going to be a pretty massive station when it's all said and done. And we do have a little bit of orange there, if I'm not mistaken. That is the Imperium or Goon Swarm. But here we go. This is what I wanted to show you guys. Of course, we managed to bring the blueprint copies into Jita. And then we're going to take a look at their values, of course. Item hanger, and let's get started. Oh, I still have a Tatara blueprint here, which didn't sell exactly. So let's maybe take a look at that. Finding contracts in the current station. That's usually how I set this at. And oh, okay, 53 million. It was definitely not this high like a couple of weeks ago. So this is pretty surprising. Keep in mind, we saw that just earlier, that this costs around 5 million is to produce. But if I could sell this for 49, I'd be pretty happy with that. So let's see if I can create that contract next 49. Let's undercut them a little bit because they already failed to sell this one, so we're going to give that a go. Then the Raitaru, I can produce 3 of these a week, so these are on a pretty fast turnover and should be pretty available. And you can see the result here indeed, 6.3 million to 7 million is usually what these tend to go for. Sometimes a little bit more though. I think when some rebuilding and stuff like that has to happen, we can do that. So I'm actually going to, on this one, they actually tend to sell decently well. So I'm actually going to match. I will receive 6.3 million. Why don't you? Oh yeah, 6.3 like that. So I'm actually going to match the lowest order on this one, and we're going to put all 3 up here. And we have normally 2 weeks. Yep. Buyer will pay 6.3 million, and I didn't see how long it lasted. Let's quickly create another one. So it's a public contract. It's selected, so we should be fine. Oh, it's for 4 weeks, exactly. 6.3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now you don't have to do this. If I press finish here, what I can always do is go here, copy the contract. Next. It puts in 6.3 million itself. And there we go. The third one is ready as well. So if I refresh this, current station, search. There you go, my 3 are there for the lowest price as well. Let's hope that they sell, of course. Next up, we've got the Athenor. Let's find these in contract. So that's about 2 a week, takes a little bit longer to produce. You can see it's a little bit higher, 6.9 million. It's usually what I try to sell them at as well, but it goes up to 8.4, 8.9 million a piece as well. So let's create this contract as well. Let's match the 6.9. It's my usual price, and it usually also, god damn it, 6, 9, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's better. They usually don't lapse, so I usually do sell them pretty easily at that price. And then the copy contract feature is pretty damn awesome. So that is that. Then we've got our third structure, the Astrahus. Let's find that into the contract. current station, and this again 7 to 10 million. On some weeks, you know, this goes up to the 9.9, and then I can try to sell them for close to that price. And then on some occasions, you can see here we've been undercut already to 7 million. I think that's definitely another price where I'm like 99% sure that I'll sell them at. So here again, I am going to match the lowest price. I do want to basically be super or very, very sure that I will sell this by next week, because then I'll have 2 others ready for sale as well. So that's the structures. I must also say, when it comes to the blueprint copy business, if CCP introduces new blueprint originals in the game for the first time, it's a completely different story. Of course, demand is much higher than supply at that point. And so when the Astraeus blueprint first came out and I started making BPCs right off the bat, I could sell those for maybe 100 times this price right at the beginning. It was really very, very valuable, and you get massive, massive margins. And so investing into these expensive blueprint originals at the right time can make a very big difference in how long it's going to take to recoup the cost of your investment. And especially when they first come out, then you can really make up a lot of that purchase price in pretty short order by being the first. But of course, you depend on CCP basically for something like that to happen. Next up, we have our Orcas. Let's see what these are going for at the moment. Do a quick search. And as I've said here, we can easily get towards 20 million. Someone is selling one for 12.5 million, which is sometimes what I'm forced to as well. Competition between these two prices does tend to happen, but I think I can go for like 19 million. It's only one of them, and then it's that big jump up. Let's try to start filling that gap and hope that I can sell them at. So 19, not like that, 19, like that. There we go. And then, of course, super handy, I can just copy that 3 times. When it comes to this copying, make sure that you don't have a blueprint original in your item hanger at that point, because the system does not differentiate between copies and originals, and I don't think you want to sell a BPO of the Orca for that price. And so this was up until a couple of weeks ago my weekly schedule for the BPC business. Pretty passive, pretty easy ISK, but now of course we can actually extend that with freighters and carriers, capital ships. So I'm really curious to see what the results are going to be here. Let's start with the Providence. Current station as always, and look at that, starting at 24 million ISK. There's quite a few at that price though, so I do think that it might be worth it to undercut this a little bit. Let's undercut this by a decent margin, like 22.5 or something like that. With this, I'm feeling like this is still a pretty good price. Cost like 800 or 600,000 ISK to create this blueprint, and well, I undercut the rest of the market a little bit, but it's only one of them, so the impact shouldn't be that massive. Of course, if you come with 10 of them and you start to undercut, then you're gonna create a problem, but I think that this is okay to do, and that there's a decent chance that this will just get sold, and that by next week I'll just be able to sell for around the same price again. Pretty nice, of course, quite a bit more expensive than the Orca already, so looks like it's a winner. Next up, we've got the Obelisk. Let's take a look at that one. That one is not so good, right? 14 million ISK, and look at the competition of these. That's already quite a few of them. So I'm just gonna match the 14. That's 3 of them, and actually feels at the lower end, so I don't feel like I'm gonna have to undercut here. So, oops, well, that would be undercutting. There we go. That's better. Let's finish that. There we go. Next up, we've got the Fenrir. No, first we need to take a look at it. What are these being sold at? That's really not a lot. So there's bound to be a better option than the Fenrir, and well, 995 or 99 I think is about the same. Then I'd rather be in first position for just 50,000 ISK. So we're gonna put this one here, and then finally we get a Charon. Let's find this in contracts. And I'm basically discovering this here as well. This is the first time that I'm putting these up. And this is major. 23 to 25 million ISK for these. We'll match the 23. I feel pretty confident that we'll sell that. As obviously Sharon and Providence are the big winners. I'll definitely continue those. But for the Obelisk and the Fenrir, I might look for a better BPC to create than those two. Let's take a look at the Revelation blueprint copy. What is that one going for? 21.95. Definitely a decently okay price. Actually, for a 10-day copy time, I think that this is pretty low as well. But you can see that the competition is quite heavy in this, of course. 25 million, and then down to this. I'll match the lowest one here again. 21,950,000. Let's go. I feel like there's a lot of competition that we're decently low on this one. Next up, Thanatos. Actually made one of these once. Ooh, that's really inexpensive. I thought it would go for quite a bit more than 645. So here, let's definitely match that amount. That's unexpected. Well, that's good news. It means that I get to dive back into that library and look for potentially better options. Next up, we've got the Minmatar one. Pretty much in the same boat, right? 6.9 million for the Nidhogger. These might just also be the least popular ones. So we'll take a look at that in just a moment. But this is, compare that to the Orca for a 10-day copy as well. That's actually kind of bad here. Then we have the Chimera. Let's find that one in contracts. Current, and this goes down to really not a lot, 4 million ISK for some of these, and then it goes up to 15 million ISK. That's interesting. Then we get some scams here at about 1 billion ISK. I'm not sure what to do. I guess I will actually try like undercut this by quite a bit, but not go as low as 4 million. We'll just try 12.5 or something like that. Basically trying to discover if I manage to sell at this price or if it's going to lapse. And then finally we've got the Archon. Is that the most popular one? No, that's even more competition. Starts out at almost 20 million ISK, and then someone goes as low as 1 million ISK. On this one, honestly, I'm willing to just wait a week to see if, for instance, the top, this up to 6 million might just get bought out at later time, so I can try to compete for like 8-9 million ISK or something like that. It's all part of what you have to do, of course, when it comes to the BPCs. Sometimes I feel like this is like oversupplied by too much, and that diving in and just selling it for 1 million is not even worth my time anymore. It's better to scope out what's gonna happen. And then of course also I have to be honest, the Archon might not be worth the time. Might have to switch that out for something else. Same with the two freighters, the Obelisk and the Fenrir, but we also saw that some of them have really high potentials, like the Providence. So bit of a mixed picture here. I was not expecting that. I thought uniformly we'd have similar margins, but that is obviously not the case. Very, very interesting. And yeah, this is basically how I'm running the blueprint copy business at the moment in EVE Online. Of course, these blueprints are quite expensive. On top of that, if you have to research them all to a high level, that also takes a lot of time. So this is a business that's for the long term in EVE Online. It's not something that's going to yield you returns right off the bat, but the advantage is at some point the investment is recouped through all those blueprint copies, and then of course it's pure profit for time from then on. And I think I really like that concept myself, to have those investments made. Basically, you can also say, all right, I'm just investing that risk, it's gone, it's paid for, and then we can just get started on churning out and look at it at profit. Like, it's not really the case, of course, but for not a lot of effort in the game, this can be a pretty significant source of income as well. And for me, I don't really plan to like over increase the production or anything like that. One character, with the help of my brother, I think we can make a nice niche here without having too much of a bad impact on the market itself. And that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.